So I'm sitting down at work. I just want to get these thoughts off the top of my head. So a person I'm subscribed to on YouTube named Chris Jam. As you know, I'm a huge Transformers fan. Also like Marvel, DC. Just saw the new Superman. Might see a video about that coming sooner or later. But the new Transformers show, Cyberworld, just debuted on Saturday morning at about 12 o'clock Eastern time, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and it's divided the fandom. And I just want to talk about my thoughts on the show and why it exists. My thoughts on the show, in my opinion, for what it's trying to do, although we had better in the past, but for what it's trying to do, it's pretty good. It had pretty good animation. I liked some of the fight choreography. I wish the episodes were longer, but for it trying to be a gamified Fortnite Transformers cartoon, I think that is doing its job very well, especially something to just pump a little fresh content into the Transformers sphere, since the only thing we really had going on up until the premiere of Cyberworld was the Skybound comic books, especially with the grittiness and darkness of that. So with that said, we need to talk about why this show exists. So looking at what happened with Earthspark, Transformers Earthspark, I don't know if Hasbro viewed it as a failure, but it probably wasn't as popular as they thought it was going to be. So Earthspark, being a 22-minute premiere show on Nickelodeon, made it so that, you know, I don't really think that especially kids pay attention to, unless it's really popular, some shit like SpongeBob, kids don't really pay attention to long form cartoons anymore. So what Cyberworld is trying to do is trying to get in on a market of things that kids like. Kids like shorts, kids like 5-minute videos, kids like clips, and video games or what have you. And that's the type of market that they're trying to get into. Not to say that video games weren't like popular in the past, but specifically in today's format, kids are not sitting waiting around for Toonami to watch Transformers Armada. They're not sitting around for Saturday on Fox Kids to watch Beast Wars Transformers, and damn sure not sitting around on Saturday morning trying to catch the Saturday morning action block or weekday afternoon block like in the 80s to watch Transformers, the Transformers. So, my point being is that the markets have changed and shifted so much over time that Hasbro is trying to do what they can to keep children's attention to their franchise so they can sell them toys and merchandise, while keeping things like the movie and of course the Skybound comic books and subdivision cartoons like the War for Cybertron trilogy on the Machinima cartoons from back in the day to appeal to adult collectors. While I do feel there can be a mix of adult and childlike themes like in Transformers Animated, that could work nowadays. But again, to flesh out characters deep like they did like Ratchet, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, to show the rise of Optimus Prime over Sentinel Prime and Ultra Magnus, to show the RC story of fighting in a desperate war in Transformers Prime, it can take a long while to flesh out those story beats, and kids don't have the attention span to really pay attention to what's going on a lot of times. And it's not because kids are incapable of doing it. It's just simply the market of what's viable for a children's cartoon has changed in the past 10 to 20 or so years now. And I hate to be like this, but my name is Escape Punk Lefty. The last thing I'm gonna say about this is because I feel as though stories are less complex nowadays. It's all the people complaining about wokeness. And I'm being real with you. Some beer. I ain't nothing yet. But honestly, because if any of the Transformers shows, especially animated and Prime, were written today and giving a full audience, because it's from back before all the online, coercion and grifting about calling things woke. Transformers Animated, Transformers Prime, or even cartoons like Static Shock, Justice League, Superman, Batman Animated Series, and what have you, all these X-Men, the original X-Men from the 90s, even though it's continuation X-Men 97, it's called, quote, woke. People that complain about wokeness cause writers, you can see that with the new Superman movie, to not want to write complex stories with new experiences and alternative viewpoints about how life works. This leads to highly simplified character beats in cartoons. Well, I'm not saying that Cyberworld might not get more complex. As we thought that about Cyberverse when that first, came on television. It was Bumblebee listening to some loud rock music doing donuts, but it turned out that they killed all four main Decepticons, Megatron, Starscream, Shockwave, and Starscream, all died during this show. Prowl got killed by Shadow Striker. Shadow Striker would be technically at the end of the show in the season 4 movie premiere. The last one would be when they were fighting against Tarn, would become the first female Decepticon leader. And there was a lot of different elements about the cost and struggle of war, energy crises, and mental health and disability that were written into the background of Cyberverse and other Transformers cartoons too. And I don't even believe that nowadays, we can't even have moral dilemmas. They didn't like that with Earthspark Megatron. They would not like that with Armada Starscream. People don't like, and this is like adults I'm talking to now, not kids. I'm talking to adults. Adults nowadays, a lot of us don't like cartoons that challenge our morals and that garner us to have sympathy for things and meanings or things and causes that we normally wouldn't have sympathy for. So, for instance, I've been reading the Transformers Headmaster comic book, right? And this is a comic book clearly about xenophobia, working with the people to show that you're better, and even through everything that you go through, still not getting approval from the people that you're working with and trying to protect, even though some of them are literally inside your head or your weapons. The point I'm making is that Transformers and other comic book media and even anime, because they'll try to make that dumbass argument too, have always been about real world problems but focused in on supernatural elements. And a lot of people don't want that. They don't want things that make them think and question their morals. And if things that cartoons, especially pertaining to Transformers, that did criticize things like xenophobia and what have you, or in the cost of war, moral dilemmas, changing and leaving hatred behind, like Megatron and Earthspark, for instance. A lot of people don't want to see that. So if people, and you got to keep in mind, Earthspark itself literally made it on Fox News and garnered a huge controversy that Hasbro didn't want any part in. That said, though, with the marketing of cartoons and action figures to kids changing over the past 20 or so years, and with the advent of online activity pertaining to the political nature of some Transformers fans, because we got a lot of boomer Transformers fans that grew up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they are standing next to us at the convention, and they have these viewpoints, and they don't want these viewpoints challenged. And when these viewpoints get challenged, it creates controversy, and Hasbro doesn't want controversy. So this is going on long, but while I do wish that Transformers Cyberworld, and I hope it gets more complex, the reasons why is as clear as day.